You could get this. I'm like, hold on. They're calling me the biggest marijuana producer in the history of the U.S. criminal justice system. Does that sound to you like the low end of scale, right? And they send people to jail for hundreds of years. So I'm curious at the length of the numbers. Like I say, anything over 12 years is a death sentence. The average person dies in a U.S. prison at age 65. I'm 50 now. So, anything over 12, 15 years, that's a death sentence. But I'm amused because the American justice system thinks they own your next 5 or 6 reincarnations, so they send people 150 years in jail. Just in case you live a little extra longer, It's like, wow, that's weird, 150 years in jail. Like, that's like an out. And not only are we punishing, we're sadists too, when you get your neck. So, yes.
Is there anything we can do to help with their extradition, write letters?
Yes, you can. Now, here's the thing. The most important thing is an election coming up. And if you have a conservative member of parliament, you're going to get a pamphlet in the next few days that's actually against promoting this Bill C-26, which is a very, very bad bill that's going to punish pot people a lot. But it'll punish all drug users. But will it especially, yes, in fact, that's what's going out. And what they're doing is they're spending $64 million on a propaganda campaign. All the conservative members of parliament are sending these out to all their ridings on taxpayer money. It costs $2.8 million to send those all out. And it's all softening the ground for mandatory minimums for way more people in jail. They'll need to build more jails, and we're going towards a U.S. drug war system. Now, just to let you know, we only imprison 110 people out of every 100,000 people in the population. The United States imprisons 746 people for every 100,000 people in the population. Almost 7 times larger by capita. Just to give you an example of the numbers, they have 2.25 million people in prisons. We have 34,000 people in prison. Now, they have almost 10 times more people than us, but they have 74 times more prisoners than us. So it's not just like, oh, we were forgetting the scale. No, they really have the prison planet going on there. Since the 1980s, they have put millions and millions of people in jail for drugs. And they continue to house about 800 to 900,000 people who are there in one way or another for their drug relationships, growing, selling, conspiracy, running a drug house or whatever. 900,000 people every year is the prison population in the United States of people in drug. They want to emulate that here because it's been very successful. As long as you successfully get away with scapegoating drug users, you can blame all of society's ills on the drug user, but not prohibition. Because if we think simply and clearly without any kind of cloudiness about prohibition of alcohol, we realize, gee, that's where Al Capone and all those guys started. There were no known armed robbery gangs before then, not even at banks. You got the guy going in with a bank maybe in the Old West. But that was a very futile thing. Typically what you never really see in those movies is that since everybody's local money was put in that bank, if they heard there was a robbery, everybody had a gun, they would shoot you dead before you got out of town. There's no fucking way you're robbing this bank with all our money in it, right? So that's what you don't see in those Old West movies. People shot bank robbers dead. They did not wait for a sheriff. They went and hauled their own money back. So the advent of modern-day bank robbery, machine guns, and organized gangs started explicitly and exclusively with alcohol prohibition. And it ended in 1933, but the problem is there were over 40,000 men on the U.S. government's payroll for alcohol prohibition, and they needed to be funneled into a new line of work. And that's why marijuana prohibition was brought about 3 years later. And interestingly enough, they needed a constitutional amendment to make alcohol prohibition legal, but they had changed the laws to make it so that marijuana became an Interstate Commerce Act violation, so they did not need to change the Constitution to ban marijuana. That is the first thing that was ever banned by the U.S. federal government without a constitutional amendment, because there's no provision in the U.S. Constitution for the federal government to ban anything. So there's all sorts of sneaky things. Read Jack Praire's Emperor Has No Clothes. It's a great book. It's got what got me into this movement 19 years ago, and I don't regret a moment, even though I may never see some of you ever again.
Well, actually, you will at 4:20.
It only counts in the first 5 seconds. Thank you very much, everyone, and I look forward to talking to you later.
Just a couple of things. You will see him again here at 4:20, if not another time. We're about to head. That's why we've got to cut it short. A quick apology to everybody online for being late. Sorry about that, and to the rest of you for being patient. Sorry it was a little bit short. One final thank you and round of applause here for Marc. Thank you so much.